Alright YouTube, hello, thank you for watching. Today I have the privilege of working on some McIntosh ML-2Cs. The most beautiful speaker I've ever seen in my lifetime. Honestly, this is one speaker. It wouldn't matter how hard I tried. I just couldn't improve a speaker that's made like this. Take a gander at that beauty. That is an unmodern marvel of engineering right there for sure. So I want to show you some things I'm running into here on these grills. I'm refoaming not 2 of these, but 4 of these speakers. That's the incredible part there. So that's a lot of speakers. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 speakers total I have to refoam. On the grills here, even after I moved, I still can't get better lighting. It's definitely throwing some heat off, I know that much. So this is what the grills look like. And there was a lot of fraying on them. Fortunately, I got to them here before it was too late, and I can completely save these grills. They're very, very nicely woven. Once you get one place coming out of the weave, all you have to really do is just look at it, and all those threads just keep falling out. I kind of had some doubts about this because I don't know what kind of space age material McIntosh used here, but this is adhesive tape, and I had concerns about the compatibility of these rubber cements on the tape itself, but it appears to be all right. So this one here is pretty bad. So I'm using out of necessity because I'm out of the black. This NRC from Springfield speaker, it's nitrile rubber. It's kind of orangey color. So this one here, since there's 2 corners that are basically stuck, just going to try to stick this whole piece at one time. With this glue here, this is kind of one of those things where more is not necessarily better, but after you use it for a while, the tip clogs up. Oh, you know, too much comes out. Using a brush on this might be better. It didn't seem like it was going to be compatible with this tape because it just doesn't quite go on the tape like I would hope for. It's kind of hard for me to explain what I'm seeing, but as with most adhesives like this, you can pretty much stick it immediately. I would just kind of be a little bit leery about where you stick it first because you can get some sag in this material. So I'll just kind of pull it taut at this point here. You don't want to use a lot of glue because it's just going to mush up through the weave in it, and then your fingers are going to be stuck to it. And then I'll pull this side over here tight as well. Just kind of push this back. I know my fingernails are disgusting. I've been digging in dirt and playing with cements and glues and all kinds of things. And then just kind of go over here and do the same thing. Draw that corner so that it's tight both directions. Hold it down. And just take the edge of my thumb and kind of push over on it. You can see that the material is kind of stretching. Right there you see some of the stuff came through. There was too much on there. And the same thing here. Just kind of draw it back and push it down. And you'll want to do this a couple times over maybe 15 minutes or so. It depends how much glue you use. If you use a lot, you're going to have to keep going back and going over it as the solvent is slow to evaporate. And then what I've been doing is I've also been gluing the edges too. These little scissors work real good. But like I said, fortunately, their build quality in this allowed that these can be glued down and you'll never even know it because they left such a wide space around the perimeter. Had that been narrow, that would have been able to be seen probably from the front. Incredible build job on these speakers. Whoever built these can be pretty darn proud of himself. I think what's the most mind-blowing thing here that I've seen with these speakers are these grills. The fact that they took the time to make these out of walnut. It looks to be walnut because of the long dark grain all kind of in a straight line. And the fact that they put plastic grills on here that you can remove to clean. That speaks volumes. Who does that kind of stuff? I can't get a date of manufacture on these from the serial numbers on them. Actually, I have 2 consecutive serial numbers in one pair and then 2 consecutive serial numbers that are quite a bit ahead on another pair, but I wasn't able to date them other than obviously they were made after 1971. They could be upwards of maybe 1980. I don't know. I'm just doing a boatload of speculating. I wouldn't pull the cloth off in any places that it's already stuck. That's just me. But in places like this where it's down pretty darn good to start with, what I do is I just run through and put a bead of glue up here onto this edge and also down onto the plastic because I know it's definitely going to adhere well to the plastic, possibly more so than whatever this tape is, I'm not sure. But in that way, in the future, those fibers can't eventually creep out of there. Just put the tip up over the edge, basically 1/8 of an inch in. That way you're guaranteed to hit the threads coming through, and then also to the bottom at the plastic as well. There's really no need to push that down at a later time. If you start messing with it before the glue is set enough, then it's just going to stick to your fingers. You're going to have strings everywhere and the glue joint's going to kind of look like shit. But if you just let it go, it'll stay glossy. Another thing too to keep in mind with these kind of glues is if you have a spot that's glued and you put more glue over it, don't be surprised if it comes unglued because the solvent in the glue will just basically resolubilize the glue that was already kind of set up. Kind of like that. I'll show you what the woofers look like here. This is utterly amazing here. The table underneath this piece of wood here is actually metal. It's actually a utility cart. 13.8 pounds of magnet on this thing. You notice how the terminal strip is split up. Instead of having plus and minus side by side on the terminal bar, they got one on one side of the speaker, one on the other. Is that the most incredible speaker you've ever seen or what? I would be very wary in taking these out of the cabinet. I think I kind of know why they cut these notches here. Because they came in handy after I pulled the second pair of them out of here. I thought, yeah, they were thinking ahead. These were in with duct seal, which is extremely commendable. Just over the fact that they used that. So when you pop the screws out, 99.9%, the speaker's not going to fall out of the hole. But once you break the duct seal, be careful because when the weight all comes crashing down, you got to kind of use these cutouts here to get your fingers underneath of it, pull it out real slowly because these wires are short, and you could rip the terminal strip right off the back of the speaker, which this wire definitely had some tension on it because I wasn't as aware as I should have been. Now these are in here with cups. I've seen cups on mid-range. I mean, that's nothing new. Radio Shack is one in particular that always had cups on the mid-range if it's an open back mid-range. But I've never seen a cup this damn big before. And then there's duct seal on the back of that too. There's two mids in it, and then there's a coaxial tweeter. I'm not sure who that thing might be made by, if it's a peerless tweeter. I did see something on a service bulletin, something about some of these in earlier models possibly being a 16 ohm. They were saying something about if you want to change the 16 out with an 8 ohm. Like I said, I don't think that would have a lot of bearing on what the total impedance of the whole cabinet is, or why they used 16s in earlier ones. I don't know. I haven't determined this one to be either or. So they got this thing literally stacked with fiberglass. I have never seen a cabinet packed with that much fiberglass. And I have tore a lot of damn speakers apart, and I ain't ever seen one stacked up like this one is. I do want to kind of show you something that I think is important. Otherwise, these covers are on dowel pins in the bottom, 2 dowel holes. The top are basically what I call furniture clips. These guys here, they're kind of like made out of polyethylene. Now they do break. A couple of these broke or were broke. Actually, one I broke taking it apart because I didn't know how the grills came out exactly. The rest were already cracked from age. If you've never messed with a pair of them, they got finger holes right up here in the top. Just make sure that the grill is square. Keep an eye on what's going on around the outside edge. And that's mostly when you're putting the grill back on. And then just grab it with your thumb and your forefinger and just pull straight out on it. And then lift up. And then weasel the pins out on the bottom. Now some of mine were kind of hung up because I think varnish over the years. So I cleaned these holes out a little bit with a drill bit. I also put silicone grease on the pins, and I put silicone grease on the clips. It's just basically a socket up there. When you set them back in is when I got in trouble and broke the damn clip on it. Make sure that the gap is right, that one pin isn't setting up in the air from the other one. So just look at your gap there. You can tell the gap's right. And push it in. I slapped mine a little bit too hard. That's when it all went to hell. I should have known better. So anyway, as always, thanks for watching my video. You take care and have a great day.